Welcome to this new video from Clarity Media, where I'm going to talk a little bit about how to solve Killer Sudoku and the rules of the puzzle. Killer Sudoku is a fairly well-known variant of the standard Sudoku puzzle and is seen in quite a few newspapers and magazines, so it's hopefully familiar to you. It's generally considered a bit more difficult than standard Sudoku because it does involve maths as well, which puts some people off, and I'll show you how the puzzle works now. So the first rule of Killer Sudoku is the same as standard Sudoku, and that's that you must place numbers from 1 to 9, ones in each row, in each column, and in each 3x3 box of the grid. The additional rule, which is where the maths come in, is these dotted cages that the grid is divided into, and for readability we've shown each cage in a different colour here. Now each cage has a number at the top left, for instance the 14 here, and that tells you that the squares within that caged region must sum to that number. So these two squares sum up to 14. Now the other important detail is that a number cannot repeat within a cage. So to make the total of 4 here, there's actually only one way to make that. Because it can't be 2 and 2, because that would obviously be repeating the 2, it must be 1 and 3 in some order. Now, some numbers have only one option, and obviously others have quite a lot, and you will therefore narrow them down as you solve. So having a quick look at this grid here, I can see we have 24 in these 3. Now 24 from 3 can only be 7, 8 and 9. And as you start solving Killer Sudoku, you start to learn which combinations are unique or are very limited. And there's also tables of them available online as well that can show you. So you can see this 23 here, I've put in 6, 8, 9 straight away as the pencil marks, because again that's the only way to make 23 in 3 squares using the numbers between 1 and 9. And often when you solve Killer Sudoku, this is how you start. You look for the cages that only have one option and you start filling those in. So again, there's a 1 and 3 here, a 1 and 3 here. Now what's interesting, if we look at this 3x3 box here, is that we've already placed the 1, 3, 7, 8 and 9. So that only leaves us 2, 4, 5 and 6 for the other 4 squares. So if we just blindly put those in, 2, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 5, 6, like this, and then we actually look at the numbers, we can make more progress. So look, this can't be a 6 or a 5, clearly, because a 6 is greater than 5, and a 5 equals 5. And for the same reason, this can't be a 6. And if we look here, this can't be 4 and 4. Because again, if it's 4 and 4, then we're repeating a number. So we can take the 4s out. And in fact, it can't be a 5, because a 5 must be paired with a 3. But we can see the 3 must go in one of these 2 squares. So we can take the 5 out from these 2 squares as well. Now that now means that we only have a 5 possible in this 1 square within this 3x3 box. And then by standard Sudoku rules, if there's only 1 square, then it has to go there. And then enables us to put the 1 here. 5 plus 1 is 6. And now again, we have the 2 and 6 pair here. So this can't be a 2, so this must be a 4, which means that this here must be a 1. And so we can continue making progress in this way. Now this 12, for instance, is interesting. We can see that it can't contain a 9 or an 8. So it can't be a 9, 3. It can't be an 8, 4. It can't be a 6, 6. So it must be 5 and 7 in some order. And that again narrows down the options for these squares to 2, 3 and 4. Well, this can't contain a 3 because it would then have to be 3, 3, which we know is against the rules. So that must be 2, 4 and 2, 4. Which means we only have one option for the 3, it goes here, and the 2 must go here. Now let's see if we're correct. Yes, no incorrect entry so far. And so that's how to get started with Killer Sudoku. Now, if you'd like to try this puzzle, we'll put a link to it with this video, and let us know your thoughts.